Well, hello, and welcome to Women Seeking Wholeness. This is Cherie Burton. You've heard me say this a lot, but I love it. This is a podcast for women who long to feel, express, and be who they truly are. And I'd also say who they are created to be. It's not about becoming more. It's about opening yourself to who you already are and letting that run through you and ultimately express through you. If there's one thing that I've learned in my life, it is that when we do not have a medium of expression, in other words, a way to get out what is inside of us, our stories, our gifts, our experiences, the things that we've walked through in life, the things that have been encoded into our being, into our DNA from perhaps generations past. Anyway, we are the walking benefactors of the ancestral lines before us who could not say the things that we as women have the bountiest opportunities to say today. So I love this whole concept of waking up to who you are, owning it, standing in it, letting it run and express through you unabashedly, and then just being. It's not about doing more, achieving more, being recognized for more. It's about just loving being in your own skin, being in your body, being embodied. And a term that I learned recently, ensouled, which is kind of the same theme, because to be in your soul means to be in your body. They work together. Your spirit and your body work together as your soul. And so when you talk about being ensouled, that means you are in absolute alignment and you are in absolute authenticity. When I say absolute, maybe that's a little too impractical because we always fall in and out of alignment all of the time. But the power of knowing how to get back in your body, the power of knowing how to listen to your soul voice and just line right up when you know you've fallen out, that's power. So when we're talking about being in the body, that's for what I've seen and what my experience has taught me, working in the mental health arena, climbing into holistic psychology, climbing into spiritual teachers and various ways of looking at how the body and soul work together. What I've learned is that we women tend to disassociate from our bodies because we reject them. They're not enough of something or they're too much of something. And so we don't have freedom to stand in who we are. Sometimes we've walked through trauma. All of us have trauma. Trauma is about perception, by the way. Yes, there are some life experiences that render us completely devastated, and there are some that are more severe than others. But by and large, it's how we perceive the things that happen to us as how we interpret them as a trauma. So you could have two people that have the exact same life experience, but one person will go into a trauma response and one person will not. And so it's very subjective, it's very sacred, it's very personal. But what I've come to learn in my 50 years is that the experiences that you've attracted to yourself are the exact experiences that your soul needs to expand and embody and accept and work through so that you can garner it together into your and integrate it into your being for your learning. Not only for your learning, but for those who you are meant to inspire, heal, teach, and lead. So this whole bravery to show up as you are, who you are, takes a lot of courage. It's hard to do that by yourself. Unless you've been trained by someone to know what your soul voice is, because we've all had religious programming about listening to like the Holy Spirit or promptings or impressions. But no one ever sits us down and teaches us how to differentiate our own soul voice from the many voices that pine for our attention. I'm talking about adversarial entity voices, toxic influences from other realms, if you will. And I'm also talking about like angelic voices. If you listen to my episode with Ashley Miller, she talked about how all these different angels that she communes with have all these different personalities, which she can differentiate and has kind of trained herself to understand those voices. But we have so many voices that float in and out of our heads. Even the tapes we play for the people in our past who had maybe some authority over us, like our parents, our teachers, our leaders in whatever domains. But what I'm talking about is your sovereign soul voice. And I've used this word sovereign a lot if you listen to my podcast. And whenever I go into live events and talk about it, women just get this really puzzled look on their face. Like, what do you mean sovereign? God is sovereign. Yes, he is. And because you have a piece of God, and I would add goddess, and however you define that, in you, you have your own sovereignty. You don't share space with anyone else in that. You have your own domain. You walk in your own sacred space at all times. And I see it as hallowed ground, even in the dysfunction, even in the really horrible life experiences that we walk through. It's still sacred because your God self is with you in it. And when I'm talking about tuning into your soul voice, it's an entrainment to listen to your own truth, what's coming through right now for you in real time relevance. There's something about opening up sacred text like scripture or other really high vibe works that people have channeled, or, just really like those really powerful, empowered kind of writings, sacred writing, sacred text. There's one thing about reading those things that have come through, centuries or millennia ago, or last week or yesterday. And then there's the voice of truth that comes through for you in real time while you're standing in the grocery store, while you're in the middle of a storm. And it's for you and it's of you, because all of the truth and all of the things that you need already reside somewhere inside. It's just about letting them come up, revealing them, remembering them. So it takes guidance. It takes someone or a group of people who are holding form for you, if you will, to get you to become entrained to know what your truth is. And once you know what it is, that's kind of the point of awakening for me. You hear the word awakening a lot, but I feel like an awakening is what happens when you come into a knowing about yourself and your life. And no one can take that from you. People will have opinions. People will try to guide you or steer you or whatever, but the best guides are those who teach you to go within, because everything that you're seeking is also seeking you, number one, and everything that you're seeking, number two, is already there. You are what you're seeking because you are everywhere you go. And you are with yourself when you learn, and you are with yourself when you sleep, and you are with yourself when you are with others. So you are the common denominator. And so the waking up is about listening, tuning in. I call it the queendom within. I know I didn't coin the term. I thought I did. But the queendom is simply that inner sanctum where you know you're in alignment. You know you've accessed body wisdom through the ages that live through you in your physical form. And you become so immovable and unshakable in that knowing that it doesn't matter what the voices around you are opinionated about you or about your path. It only matters that you are in your knowing. And then you have a choice once you come into your knowing what you will do with that. And that takes courage, because there's a lot of people that have awakened, but they haven't expressed their awakening. They haven't been able to either, and I will speak, this is kind of a commonality with women. There's a fear of visibility. So there's this, we really want to be seen as women. That's the gift side of being a woman. We have all this aesthetic appeal and power in our beauty and all its diversity, but we also have a fear of it as well. And there's a lot of collective fears about this and why it works through the collective unconsciousness of women. But by and large, because we're not embodied, and if we're not fully embodied, then we have a great fear of being seen. But yet we want to be seen. We want to be that. I think Christ referenced it in the New Testament as being a candle set on a candlestick, right? Or a city set on a hill. It's metaphor for stand out and shine. And that's actually my branding: stand, speak, shine. I came up with it a long, long time ago. And it's about standing in your body, being in your sacred space, speaking or expressing or being visible. In other words, expression of that embodiment. And then shine is the outgrowth of that. It's the candle that gets lit for all the world to see. You don't hide it under a candle or bushel, as Christ said. Buddha talked about this. This is also in Hindu writings. It's releasing that fear of visibility so you can really be a force for good in this world. So you can let the glory of God shine through you in whatever your belief structure is. Whatever the true, beautiful essence of what is meant to shine through you, you being the medium of that expression, if you are in fear around visibility or expression, the world will not have it. And I always say to people, like, my favorite expression of this is it's your calling. My favorite expression of exactly what I just expressed to you about standing and speaking and shining is that it always feeds into your soul calling. So there's a difference between like your purpose and your mission and your calling. I have this on my website. If you go down to my about section on SherieBurton.com, I put this in big, bold, like letters that a mission is something you want to do, but a calling is something you have to do. If you do not answer the call of your soul to express and stand in your body and let out what's ever in you, in whatever medium it's supposed to express, you will experience a soul depression. Depression's been kind of my life pursuit to crack the code on. And for over 10 years, I did nothing but study biochemistry, multisensory body processes, energy psychology, and then, of course, traditional psychology, because that's my degree. I really wanted to climb in and understand how emotion works through the body, in the body, and how you release it. I've lost a sister to suicide. A lot of you know that who've listened to my, especially the first couple of episodes on my podcast. It was my sisters and I talking about losing our sister to suicide. Also having, of the 7 children in our family, all of them diagnosed bipolar, except myself and one other sibling. And so as I started to have my own children, I'm a mother of 6. And as I started to have my own children, you better believe I wanted to crack this code because I did not want this to happen, to continue to happen generationally and be passed, that baton being passed on. I also lost an aunt to suicide who was 32. So losing a sister at age 34, losing an aunt at age 32, both of them mothers, kind of put the bee in my bonnet that this was something I was meant as a soul calling to unearth, to get real, I do have a traditional psychology degree. I've worked as a psychiatric group counselor in a psychiatric hospital, as well as an addiction recovery center. I sort of stepped away. I really stepped away actually from traditional therapy a long time ago because I realized these people were not fully getting well. So having the science of the biochemistry, the energy of emotion, how our bodies release and restore. I have a whole emotional wellness pyramid that I teach about motives for behavior, drivers of behavior, creating emotional state change. So that's something I've been super passionate about for most of my adulthood. The other thing that I've become really passionate about, and I will say that depression is twice as common among women as men, and I am convinced it's because we're not expressing. I'm absolutely convinced that's it. Men can go punch a wall or yell at their friend or go for a run or do something physical. And that's where men really outshine women in the domain of getting energy of emotion out of the body. It's not that men don't stuff. It's just that men and women emote very, very differently. And women tend to hold on to things. And women also tend to look at the whole picture. So it's less compartmentalized. For a woman, that multisensory piece is massively huge because she works that way. Her brain lights up like a Christmas tree and she can see the whole picture. And therefore her life becomes very overwhelming because she's not meeting all of the needs she sees that need met, as opposed to a man just seeing one need at a time. A woman can see the whole thing. So I am so passionate about cracking that code. And I believe that I have actually. I have a 22-day depression cleanse that takes people through the first initial stages of that. But really where I'm moving into my true passion for 2020, and that's kind of what I wanted this podcast to kind of end with, What I'm really, really passionate about now is giving women the guidance and the tools and the space created so that they can move together into this bravery of which I spoke at the beginning, this courage, this honoring of the soul voice, this entrainment to listen to your truth. If you can manage the fear around letting that truth come out and letting your expression of you come out and just being you, not what's culturally prescribed to you, not what was given to you in your family dynamics, but you as a sovereign being, giving women that presence. I call it presencing, but it's just this power of, stillness that breeds clarity, which is that accessing of the queendom within. Because if you don't know how to do that, and it's not just about meditation, I'm going to tell you that right now. This is not about just meditation. There's a whole process of getting inside and staying there. And if you fall out of alignment and know that you've disconnected, there's a whole process of connecting right back in. So just generating those interior reserves and grounding yourself into that courage. If that part of you if you have not been able to do that or sustain it for a period of time, then you will continue to cycle through this disillusionment. See, women lack clarity on their path and on their next steps. And there's kind of the stop, start process. Number one, because of the embodiment part, because they can't stay in their body long enough and they keep flipping in and out of states of disassociation. And most of it's very subconscious. It's not something that we always choose to do. It's just that we get into a neural patterning and we check out, or we self-sabotage on the subconscious level. But the number one thing that keeps us from staying in our bodies is fear. So if we know how to manage the fear response and we know how to get out of a stress response into a healing response, then we are ready to create. And when you get into the flow of creation, you're on your soul calling path. You're there. And the second, I'm telling you, the second that you get the clarity of what that is and you put your foot on the path and not just dip in and out, but squarely go onto that path solidly, your whole entire existence changes. All of your relationships change. The dynamics of your relationship to yourself, to your creator, and to others. And then also you have this radiance about you. You become more attractive energetically, which is a real thing. The attraction factor is a real thing. It's not just about romance and all of that. It really is just about attracting to you, because you now have clarity. You send out a beacon and you attract to you what is relevant for your soul path. It shows up. You don't have to kill yourself off by tracking it down. Remember, because what you're seeking is seeking you. And then the other thing that happens is you develop a new way of looking at your own resources. So it's kind of that abundance mentality that when you step onto your soul path, you go out of lack mentality into abundance mentality because there's plenty there for you. There's a way to create abundance. There's a way to create money, if you will, which is the currency we have to use on this earth sphere, unfortunately, to get to where we need to be and to be free. We have to have enough money. We have to have enough resources. So there's that abundance there that you can create with your soul calling. And there's no shame in that, by the way. It's just a currency exchange. It's just a value exchange. And then also what starts to happen is you start to look at there's plenty of time. There are plenty of opportunities for you. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of resources. There's plenty of supports there for you to show up and do this calling of what you are craving at the cellular level to do. And not just at the cellular physical level, at the cellular spiritual level. It's encoded into your spirit to do this soul calling. Now, there's a whole acronym for this that I call it the arc of creation: abundance, radiance, connection. If you know how to connect in, then you will then connect to God and others. Boom. So that's the connection part, working backwards with the ARC acronym. Radiance, this is all about beauty, the essence of you. It's coming through for others to see unfiltered. You literally shine. I used to coach a lot of women who later, won beauty pageants. I've coached women who won national, state, and local titles. And I didn't realize I was doing this at the time. It's like 15, 20 years ago. But I would coach these women, girls, and even mothers to get on a stage and stand out from the rest of the other women. Now, is that in an egoic way? No, it's just we were able to tap into these little secrets that let their essence come through so that they completely stood out. They may not have had the best body. They may not have had the best wardrobe or hair, whatever, but we did really work on that. So they had all that packaged together. But the basic thing is we were working on inner and outer alignment. We were working on staying grounded, standing, expressing, and then, of course, shining. Stand, speak, shine. So that presencing then became the magic bullet, the secret sauce, if you will, to winning a beauty pageant. And I thought, what if I could translate that into the whole package of a woman? And she doesn't need to like get on a stage and throw on a pair of prayer heels and a swimsuit or an evening gown. And so this whole trajectory I was on to crack the code on depression, I then entered a alternate trajectory on beauty for women and what that means. There's the full-bodied, beautiful goddess woman. And there's that archetype. There's the archetype of the queen, the benevolent queen, the princess, the empress. So I started working with this royalty archetypes, and then I developed this sacred style around those archetypes based on some of the other trainings that I had. And I realized that when you put whatever accoutrements, if you will, on the exterior of yourself and you show up in that way for yourself powerfully physically, what starts to happen is the inner gets like woken up and gone, oh, she really does value showing up this way in her home and outside her spheres of, her home domain into like her community, online, and etc. And so you start to kind of wake up that cellular memory of yourself as this sovereign, beautiful queen. And it's amazing to see. I've seen Cinderella story after Cinderella story. So it got me really excited about putting a program together that would incorporate not just the inner essence and that sacred source within and the queendom and standing in that and the embodiment of that, but how you take the exterior and really become your most beautiful physical self, because that is another thing we crave as women. We're very visual. And it's our biggest fear, but it's also our greatest need is that visibility. And so this program that I'm launching, Stand, Speak, Shine School, will be coming at the end of January 2020. And I'm just giddy with excitement. I've already got a handful of women signed up. I will be tripling the price in the spring. So this first group of women that I take through are going to be kind of the beta group. And that's why I am charging a lot less. I just want a lot of women in there. We can get in, but we can really go deep because it does include one session with me personally. And I'm able to get super laser with a woman when if I know what her background is and we get into on a call, I can really get laser and address what's really happening very, very quickly. And that's something that I fine-tuned. It's a gift my creator has given me that I don't take lightly, but it's also rendered me, I guess you could say, a guide in that process for women. And there's nothing I'm more powerful in when I'm really in my superpower is the ability to cut through everything and look at what's really going on at the heart of things. So I don't take that gift lightly, and I'm grateful for it. And it's so far, it's served me very well as I've been able to climb in and help women. But in saying that, there's also a power in a group dynamic, and also in women breaking into pods of smaller groups, subgroups, to hold each other not just accountable, because I don't really like that word. It's kind of a masculine term that makes us afraid, but we hold space for each other. We give each other the encouragement, and also we sort of climb into this whole space of how do you write? Where are you not showing up? Where are you selling yourself short? How are you second guessing yourself? What can I do to support you into stepping into your true, authentic essence and power? Because I'm here to tell you, 2020 is the year of the woman. 2020 vision, having a developed vision is going to be crucial as this earth moves forward. People who do not have a developed vision are going to basically become consumed by and passed up by the energy that is happening on the earth right now. It's beautiful energy that's streaming in, but it's also very polarized. So it's kind of like the fence-sitting days are past us. If you have any part of you that has a deep craving to stand up and share something in your domain, in your sovereignty, in your gift expression to this hurting world, then this would be the time to really hone that and define it and awaken to it and own it and do it. Because the days of dreaming about it, they're not really serving us. We have to actually implement. And so again, it comes back to how do you manage fear? How do you entrain to listen to your truth? And how do you manage the fear to express it? And this is also something that I've really developed with a lot of my feminine leadership programs, my emotional wholeness masterclass. So the Stand, Speak, Shine School is an outgrowth of those programs and the beauty pageant stuff that I've walked through as a title holder myself. And being able to give women permission to honestly just let go of all of the other voices, tap in, wake up, and then do it. Influence. Be a thought leader, be an influencer, be a writer, be a speaker, be a blogger, be a social media presence of healing for people, or just simply show up in the domains physically where you are called to be in right now and heal others by your liberated presence. Because ultimately, the cravings that we experience come from, I just want to be seen for who I am. And imagine the power of really being in the space of who you are. And if you fall out of alignment, you know how to kick right back in. There's no such thing as balance, but there is such a thing as harmonizing. And that is where your calling will help harmonize you and help heal you by osmosis. And that's what's so exciting. As you step into a creation response, and I do have a 16-point creation compass rose that I have developed over the last decade. It's a multisensory tool. So anyone who signs up for the Stand, Speak, Shine School, by the way, that's standspeakshine.com. Anyone who stands up, well, that too, but anyone who registers for the Stand, Speak, Shine School, it's a 3-month program, will get a creation box in the mail. It's going to have a queendom organizer. It's going to have a couple of fun holistic tools. It's going to have this creation compass rose that I just spoke of that will be a visual tool for you to know exactly and identify where you have fallen out of alignment in any given moment in time and how to check back in. I believe I could have done all that digitally, but I really wanted people to have something in their hands that they could look at and go, oh, yes, I can self-identify. I can do these multisensory steps, and I can come right back into alignment. And here's where I am on this compass. So it's all about divine order, God, self, family, humanity, earth. And it's all about stepping in, tapping into that queendom within, and then letting that work in you, waking up to it, identifying it, embodying it, being in the knowing, and letting that knowing express through you. And it will look different for every one of you. That's why I love my job so much as a coach and a trainer and a mentor is I get to look at all the diverse ways that truth shows up in individual women. I have 3 daughters and they're all very, very different. I have 3 sons also. And it's beautiful to see that even though they may carry the same genetic sequencing roughly, they're all so different. They're all so purely individuated. And I love it. There's nothing more soul killing than being homogenized as a culture, as a group of people. We hate it. Our soul sovereignty is so compromised when we go into groupthink. We lose that individual freedom, and therefore a little bit piece of us dies and numbs out every day. So whatever you're holding in your heart, whatever you're holding in your mind's eye, seeks expression. And that's, I think, the best trainers, coaches, mentors, whatever, leaders. They are those who do not dictate to you what you should do. They are those who say, let's go within and see what's in there. And therefore you will know, and I will guide you to your own knowing. As parents, that's the greatest gift we can give to our children. And when you have somebody that holds form for you in that domain, it's also quite empowering for both of you, and you edify each other in that process. So that will happen in our group dynamic. You'll get a personalized session with me. You'll also get a lot of group support in the greater group, as well as pods that I will assign to you in smaller groups so you can work through these things together and stand in a space of support for one another. It's about nourishing your energy. It's about asking, what are you here to create? Your body is the number one tool and vehicle. You must move it. We will talk about the seven practices of spiritual eating. If it is your intention to overcome emotional eating, it is very, very possible to do in this course. Also, we're going to talk about the 12 feminine practices. We'll take a practice a week in our 12-week program, and that's what we will climb in and support each other with in the groups, is getting each of those practice mastered, or at least introduced to you so that you can further master them after our journey is complete in our 12 weeks. So to be whole, what that means is to just be you, to integrate all parts of you, past, present, even future, and what you hold in your mind's eye, and showing up in that space of imperfection and giving each other that permission to be imperfect. We're going to bring you back to your own knowing. We're going to bring you back to your own knowing, giving you that deep soul sovereignty, teaching you how to manage fear when it arises, and helping hold space for you to be in a place of bravery and courage so you can finally, unequivocally, unabashedly, unapologetically show up in your own true, authentic essence. So I would really love to have a big group together as we journey into this 3-month self-actualization program for women, Stand, Speak, Shine School. I'm taking registrants now. I will be doing a series of Facebook Lives to talk a little bit more about this. I'll even be doing some deep teaching in those Facebook Lives before we even launch the program, and those will be free. If you have not joined the free Facebook group, Women Seeking Wholeness, or Cherie Burton Women Seeking Wholeness, please ask to join, because there's going to be a lot of streaming content through the holidays and as we gear up for this program to launch January 30th, 2020. So this is my invitation to you, whoever is listening, whoever it serves. If you feel a resonation with anything that I have talked about, it might be a soul invitation for you to check into this. Go to standspeakshine.com. This is the first strong offering I've put out since I've been doing this podcast. And this is episode 49, 7 times 7, which is the number of completion. And you all know that I love numbers and I look at them heavily as divine patterning. I've done a few episodes around that and how, I just felt like this was the time to really talk about this program, because I am so convicted in its potential and power. So be part of our first beta group before the price doubles or triples in the spring. Again, that's standspeakshine.com. Stay tuned for some more amazing episodes. We're going to climb into some really cool stuff. I've got some great guest lineups in this podcast. Of course, this podcast is a service to all of you in your empowerment and embodiment. I love that we have such a diverse range of voices of women, and I hope you're starting to see that. The guests, the men and women that I have on as guests, they're all so different, and there's no right way to be. That's it. It's all paths are the path. Your soul path is your soul path, period. There's no comparison. There's no good, better, best when it comes to your own soul path. So I love all the different guests I get to learn from and explore with on this really, really interesting Earth School. So have a great week. You can always email me or message me with any questions you have about the Stand, Speak, Shine School. Cherie@cherieburton.com is my email. You can also go to my website, cherieburton.com, and there's a contact form there that you could fill out to reach me directly. I'm so grateful for what's ahead. I can see it. I can feel it. I'm thanking the universe in advance for how powerful this is going to be. This is not about me. I'm just a little messenger showing up with my little bugle going, hey, this is what I've learned. This is what I've come to know. I would love to be your facilitator in the process of becoming yourself. Have a beautiful week.